captions.
Yahoo! That's pretty cool. I mean, aside from a story I'm about to tell. This is a story which took place in 2018 in the city of Auckland. Grace Millane was a backpacker all the way from England, who was planning on spending a couple of weeks travelling, chilling with the Kiwis. While she was there, she went on the Tinder. And well, that's where our story begins, which it will do right now.
Oh no,
right
Tinder. Now. The case of Grace Millane.
So, like Grace, we will start off in the United Kingdom before travelling all the way down under. Let's begin in Brentwood, a town in Essex, don't you know? I didn't. Grace Emmy Rose Millane was born in December 1996 to parents Gillian and David. She was the youngest of 3 with 2 older brothers. Music, Grace was a fan. Hockey, yes sirree, Bob. Grace was, you know, the outgoing, gregarious type of person. I mean, the type you'd want to be to, you know, backpack across the southern hemisphere. After she finished up her schooling days, she attended the University of Lincoln, enrolling in advertising and marketing, and getting it. The degree was in the bag, September 2018. She, you know, long dreamed of traveling the world after finishing and getting up her degree, you know, before she had to, you know, get the job, get the mortgage, the everyday grind. She was taking a gap year. She wanted to experience, and she made it happen. It was to South America she would go, leaving her home for the last time on October 26th, 2018. From Heathrow Airport, she boarded a plane bound for Peru, traveling around there, hanging with the llamas. They're class. After spending a few weeks there, experiencing what it has to offer and meeting other travelers from across the globe, she then left for Aotearoa, butchered that no doubt, on November 19th. From there, she spent the next 10 days travelling the North Island, visiting such sites as Cape Reinga and the Bay of Islands, seeing what honestly looks like, you know, the most beautiful country in the world has to offer, the North Island of it anyway. And I mean, come on, you know, if the greatest trilogy ever made didn't sell you on it, I don't know what will. Do you think New Zealanders, like, hate Lord of the Rings because it kind of gets brought up all the time when we talk about New Zealand? Let me know in the comments. It was on November 30th that Grace arrived in Auckland, the biggest city in New Zealand. Grace was 22 years old. Her birthday was on December the 2nd, but she wouldn't make it. In Auckland, Grace was staying at a hostel, the base backpackers, right? And while she was there, she got on...
Okay. All right. We get it, all right? You guys don't like the narrator. But how about we focus on the story and the Grace rather than who is telling it? You know? Let's just focus on what happened. Ugh. Also, I want to say, I think there's nothing wrong with online dating, especially dating apps. I feel like that's kind of a luxury that we do have in this generation, is to be able to meet people out of town and from all over the world. You just have to be very careful and make sure that you're FaceTiming them, like actually seeing them, like so you're not getting catfished. Make sure that you let someone know if you're planning to meet them. Make sure people know where you are, who you're talking to, so that you're safe about it. Because yeah, there are some psychopaths probably using these dating apps. Clearly this is a situation of one of those, right? But just make sure you're not getting catfish. Make sure, if they're avoiding at all costs to like FaceTime you, because it's easy to send other people's pictures, right? You're being catfished. So don't waste your time. Voice chat? No. Voice chat isn't good enough. If you voice chat someone, they can still be a whole different person using someone else's photos. You need to see them in video, so it's real. You know, talking on the phone isn't good enough. You could be talking to the person, yeah, but are there pictures of them? Are you gonna have different expectations when you actually see them in person? I don't know. You have to be careful. Just be safe.
Clicked download on the old Tinder, and then she disappeared. See, the last time she was seen, heard from, was her roommates on the 1st of December. That was kind of it. The next day, it was a Sunday, December 2nd, it was her birthday, her family, friends were happy birthday, all that sort of crack, and then when she wasn't responding, well, you know, the silence was deafening. That's when the family started to become concerned. They gave it another couple of days, and on the 5th of December, they reported Grace Millane missing to the Auckland police.
On the 5th day?
She hadn't updated any of her social media profiles. Her family hadn't spoken to her since she arrived in New Zealand, and she had 2 phones that both went straight to voicemail. When she was in Peru, she'd been part of a group. In Auckland, she was going solo.
But we begin tonight with a public appeal for missing British backpacker Grace Millane. A short time ago, police held a press conference to appeal for sightings of the 22-year-old, who has not been seen since 7:15 p.m. on Saturday night.
She was last seen on the 1st of December, that was Saturday.
Grace's dad, David, promptly flew out to New Zealand to try and find her.
I would like to take this opportunity to appeal to anybody who has seen, spoken to or come into contact with Grace over the last few days, and to come forward with any detail, no matter how small, and contact the investigation team. Once again, I thank you all for coming.
And so, you know, the police having a goo around the place, that's what led them to this.
The police investigation today has concentrated around her movements and activities in Auckland since she's arrived in New Zealand. A large part of that focus has been around CCTV footage throughout Auckland.
This being CCTV, right? So the hostel said, you know, she never returned when she went out that evening of December the 1st, right? And the CCTV showed she never came back that night. So instead, Auckland is actually they got CCTV everywhere, it seems. So where did she go? They could fairly straightforwardly track her movements the night she disappeared and who she went and met with.
Oh no. Is that him?
She left the hostel at 5:37 p.m. That's Grace with the white shoes. From there, she walked to Sky City, just around the corner. Sky City is like, it's like a casino kind of type thing. We can go there for a few scoops if you want. And it was there, just outside Sky City, at 5:45 p.m. that she got a big ol' hug from Mr. Blueshirt. That was her date for the night.
No!
They had met on Tinder. They went into Sky City, had a few drinks for about an hour and a half, before heading off to a Mexican cafe, which was just around the corner. There, a few more scoops, drop of tequila, then they continued their bar hopping, going to the Bluestone Room, again, just around the corner. There, they had a few snugs. When this fella left to go to the bathroom, Grace picked up her phone and texted a friend back in England, saying that she clicked with this guy real well.
What?
They left together at 9:40, walking arm in arm. Where they went to was this guy's apartment at City Life Hotel.
Wait, things seem so normal. But there's cameras everywhere. All the way up to their hotel room. No.
And that was it. It didn't take long for the police to track down this bozo. His name is Jesse Kempson. 26 years old at the time, a native Wellington guy, native Welly. Now Jesse, he was a fierce fella he would hole you with lies, right? He He had terminal cancer. His parents were dead. He was adopted by very rich people. He was a CIA agent. His cousin played for the All Blacks.
What?
He would come up with whatever shit he felt he needed to come up with to make himself not seem like the loser he was. He would just invent shit like, why not? The reality of Jesse Kempson is much more mundane. He was born in Wellington in 1992. His parents separated when he was 9, and his mother left the country. He worked as a labourer and bartender, and the bullshitting he was fierce for wasn't only for strangers. It was for his family too, who eventually gave him the boot because of that. He then moved to Australia for 3 years. What Jesse did when he returned to New Zealand isn't entirely clear, but his last job was working in phone sales, right? And he would get fired the day he met Grace for, guess what? Lying. But he did post this on Facebook, apologizing to his family and friends for, well, being a shit. Wait till you hear this. My clear arrogance and selfishness has truly affected the relationship I have with people in my personal life. How's that for an accent? Come on! Never again. When we grow up, we make mistakes. That's how we improve. In the exam of life, Jesus. You can't retest yourself with the same question paper. But with that being said, we can change how we treat each other, and over time I've learned that every action has a reaction. Putting all of that aside, I just want anyone who I've hurt / let down to know I'm truly sorry from the bottom of my heart. So essentially, he posted on Facebook saying, here, listen, I know I've been a bit of a dickhead. Sorry about that. He would then go on to do something worse than he ever had done before. So your apology was another fucking lie. But at the time, you know, when he was asked by the police, whereas Grace, last we saw, she was in your apartment building with you. No idea what happened to her. Did he hurt her? No way, Jose. When interviewed on the 5th of December, he did nothing.
How did the evening pan out?
Yeah, pretty good. I didn't initially know that she was real.
What do you mean?
Well, there's a lot of... So have you heard of catfish?
No.
So catfishing is where someone uses your profile...
Why is he blurred out now?
...and pretends to be you and then meets...
We already saw him.
...a completely different person.
Right.
And it's happened to a few people I know in Australia. And it's all over the TV. So I thought, you know what, if I meet at Sky City, at least I know that there's lots of people around. So if it is someone that it's not, then I can just walk away.
How did the evening sort of come to an end?
There was a hug and a kiss on the cheek, and a thanks, no, nice meeting you. And then I said, let me know about tomorrow. And she said, okay, and then she kept walking.
So Grace was never seen leaving his apartment. But he sure was. Quite a few times. What did he do, I wonder, after Grace entered his apartment?
What did he do?
Well, it's pretty unsurprising. If you're a killer. The next morning, that's on the 2nd of December, he went down and bought a suitcase. Then he went and bought cleaning supplies. After they were both back in his apartment, he got a taxi to a car rental place.
I love how there are cameras everywhere. They tracked him everywhere, even in the taxi.
Then, at about 4 p.m, he went on another Tinder date. Had a few sups with this lady. She wasn't a fan of him. She got creeps. No look there, Jesse. Sorry. She was so uncomfortable, in fact, that when she realized she would have to walk with him to where her car was parked, she just made up oh, my car's parked elsewhere. Yeah.
Please
Sorry.
Tell me she's okay.
This was probably because during that date, Jesse was yapping away with her about a few things. One of those things he told her was that his friends were cops, and they were searching for a body in the Waitakere Mountains, which are just outside Auckland. And he also told her, hey, fun fact, did you know that police dogs, they can't find the scent of a body if the body is buried more than 4 feet? After the womp womp failed date, Jesse borrowed a Rug Doctor carpet cleaning machine. Then, he loaded 2 suitcases onto a hotel trolley and put them in the rented car. The next morning, before 7 a.m., he went off and bought a shovel. And then he drove off.
Her body was in that suitcase.
He returned to his apartment at 9:30.
Yeah, he's a pathological
went
liar.
to the dry cleaners, dumped rubbish bags, and washed the car. We next see him on the 5th of December, dumping more items. And it was that day the police caught up with him.
Oh my god, he's on every camera in the entire city. There they go. Easy to catch. He thinks he's so smart.
She may be alive and well.
Okay.
But she might also be dead. Okay? And it could be that you've done it.
Ew. Sit down. You don't have the right to stand.
Hey, I just want to ask a question. Am I being arrested for something I didn't do?
You haven't been arrested.
Slap him.
Oh, it's like,
Tell him to sit.
holy shit. Okay.
After that interview on the 5th, the police chucked him out of his apartment and investigated it using luminol. There, they discovered the presence of blood on the carpets.
Oh my
Jesse was interviewed
God.
again on the 7th of December. This time, he had another story.
You've indicated that you're willing to speak to us about the events of last Saturday. Is that correct?
Yes.
Tell me what happened last Saturday.
From the beginning.
Yeah, bitch.
He said that when, they went back to his place at City Life, him and Grace started getting into it. And she asked him if he liked bondage.
She started talking to me about 50 Shades of Grey, which is a sex fantasy movie that's out.
Oh
We
no.
started having sex. At first it was just normal.
Oh no.
It was very placid. And then she asked me if we could get into bondage.
He said, never tried it before, here, I'm a pretty innocent guy, He told the police that Grace, she asked him to choke her. They took some pictures of each other. And then he went and had a shower and he fell asleep, under the running water. As you do,
And then all I remember is falling asleep in the shower.
Then, when he awoke the next morning, he found Grace lying dead on the floor.
I need to stop. I need to go.
Huh?
Would you like some fresh air?
Yeah, please.
You can't
I
just
was
say
in
that
shock.
and say, I gotta go.
I didn't know what to do. I went downstairs and I was
What a
just
terrible alibi. I fell asleep in the
I
shower.
was all over the place. I didn't believe what had happened.
Why are his hands blurred out?
I
And we've already seen
was
him.
just terrified and scared. I thought that she had gone. I thought she had left.
Pathologist, the specialist doctor, will perform a post-mortem.
Yeah.
They're very skilled at establishing people's causes of death. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Did you kill Grace Millane?
What?
You're under arrest for the murder of Grace Millane on or about the 2nd of December. You understand?
Yeah.
Okay.
He panicked, and, well, you know the rest from the CCTV. Weird, though, that he says he was panicked, because he looks cool as a cucumber in the video.
Yep.
He
Every
said
video.
he buried her in the bush. This is like the story of Christopher Garnier, you know, like all over again, where, you know, he blames the victim. She asked me to do it, you know. She asked you to do what? Kill her? Because, I mean, they searched his phone records and his phone, search history and all that, and they found different to what he was saying. At 1:30 a.m., so we can assume this is after she was killed, he searched for the Waitakere Ranges. You know, he was looking for
What's that?
I don't think she'd be found there. He also Googled hottest fire. After that, he took pictures of what appeared to be her body, followed by looking at porn. Over the next couple of days, he Googled her name multiple times to see what was in the news about her. Grace's body was found on the 8th of December, after spotting what looked like freshly dug soil and broken branches just off the road. This was confirmed when Jesse led them there. She had been buried for 6 days by this point. He had essentially forced her body into a suitcase after she had been strangled to death. Bruises were found on her shoulders and arms, like she had been restrained. So she lay there in his apartment all night. The next morning, as he went out, got the suitcases, got the cleaning supplies. She lay in his apartment while he went on another Tinder date. Then he covertly smuggled her out of the building into the rental car, buried her, and then tried to clean up.
That's so weird. How do you have a brain that thinks that's okay?
I would like to start with a comment on the murder of Grace Millane, having received a number of media queries about this tragedy. Firstly, I cannot imagine the grief of her family and what they will be experiencing and feeling right now. And my thoughts and prayers are with her father, David, who is in the country, her mother, Gillian, who cannot be here, and her wider family, friends, and loved ones. You know, from the Kiwis I have spoken to, there is this overwhelming sense of hurt and shame that this has happened in our country, a place that prides itself on our hospitality, on our manaakitanga, especially to those who are visiting our shores. And so, on behalf of New Zealand, I want to apologise to Grace's family.
Aww. That's so sad.
Your daughter should have been safe here, and she wasn't, and I'm sorry for that. I've advised the family through the police that if there is anything we can do to assist, we are here to help with that.
Aww.
Jesse pled not guilty. The defense would go with what you know they will go with. It was a tragic, you know, accident. Grace, you know, she was into bondage, you know, she asked him to choke her and it went horribly wrong. They would say, you know, Jesse panicked, you know, he didn't know what to do, he messed up, but he's the real victim here, come on, yeah. For someone who panicked, he had a pretty unpanicky reaction to her death. He could have, you know, called the emergency services, told them it was an accident, but he didn't. Instead, he, you know, slapped a ham. During the trial, 3 women came forward, telling of their experiences of meeting Jesse on Tinder.
Oh my god.
He did indeed like the rough stuff, and that's also where a lot of those lies were first heard. He would bullshit them all, and he would assault them too. He would in fact be accused of sexual assault a number of times. The trial for the murder of Grace Millane began in November 2019. It lasted 3 weeks. After 5 hours of deliberation, Jesse was found guilty. He was sentenced to life in prison, no parole, for a minimum of 17 years. Now, obviously, you know, you saw there the video that Jesse's face was blurred in a lot of the footage. That's because his name, his identity, was only released relatively recently at the end of 2020. Till then, he was just, you know, Grace Millane's murderer, killer. There was a name suppression order sought successfully by the defense in order to guarantee his right to a fair trial. So his name couldn't be published. In New Zealand, that is. His name was released in December 2020 when it was also revealed he had been convicted of 9 other charges, including rape, sexual assault, sexual violence, threatening to kill, among others. These were against 2 other women.
You're so full of You have no reason to convict me. You're full of
Disgusting.
Grace's father, David, he died a month before Jessie would face further convictions. He died from cancer.
Oh my god, their family!
Jessie appealed his sentence in 2020. Boom, got denied. The, beautiful spirit of Grace is remembered. Grace's family, they set up a foundation, Love Grace, in remembrance and honor of her memory.
She's so
beautiful. It
beautiful.
helps victims of domestic abuse by asking people to donate handbags filled with items for women in need. And that's the end of that one. During the trial, there's quite a bit of controversy, as it seemed like Grace was on trial and her sexual life were on trial rather than, the guy who fucking killed her. But either way, this sack of shit is behind bars for a bit, especially when others came forward saying he was a monster. So there. A psychologist found he'd probably do it again. So if there's like a key or whatever,
wow,
you should
that's sick.
throw it away. This idea.
I want the satisfaction of having a cuffed criminal and taking him down many flights of stairs and then unlocking this like very small, claustrophobic, small little box and no lights or anything. And then, watching him go in, and then they'll turn around and look at me and say, "No, please. I didn't do anything. I didn't murder 20 people and rape everyone. Please. I only care about myself. Please. I don't want to be in here for the rest of my life." And then I'm going to shut the door slowly and say, "This is the last glimmer of light you'll ever see again, bitch." And then lock the door and swallow the key. That's what I would do.